That's what. And that's what freaked me out because I'm shaking. I'm reading the email, and I'm thinking of that area. Yeah, and they experience that the commission has had representation. I got nervous, so I
Don't tell it your email up here.
Jen Brown 025@gmail.com. Jen Brown 25 025.
No, it says USC was the target of swatting hoax.
Oh,
What ain't coming up, Jen?
I don't know.
JenBROWN?
025
Okay.
@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. Welcome to August. I hope everyone survived. Well, everyone did survive the summer sweat. And I am super excited that we have quorum today. And wonderful. Oh my goodness, almost full house in the room and online. So anyhow, just want to go ahead and get started. We do have two speakers this afternoon, and we've got one almost around the block on the way and one online. So first, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and it is 4:07. And then the second order of business this afternoon is the approval of minutes. And yes, your eyes aren't fooling you. It is from April 28th of this year. Did everyone get a chance to review it? And do we have any changes?
I've reviewed it. Changes.
All's good. Okay, then.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Excellent, thank you. All right.
Need to vote?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. What?
Minor little detail. All in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. No nays. Thank you. Wonderful. We do have two speakers slated today because we're trying to catch up from the couple of months we missed. There's a lot going on as always. Most importantly, back to school. I thought it would be a wonderful, appropriate timing to talk about budget with Charleston County School District and what's happening with the budget that has been passed and things that are going on. Getting a little bit more a better pulse of what's happening in the community, and obviously children is on our radar. So Ms. Watley is literally coming. She's walking through halls. And then we've got Ashley Lidow, sorry about that, Ashley, with Ren. And she is perfectly timing of having the presentation on lactation access in South Carolina this past week. And knowing that we are trying to get a proposal with Mama V up to City Council, I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to see how we can collaborate on that effort. So I'm going to have Ashley go first and then Leah right after it. So welcome, Ashley. So nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's interesting that you guys are half in the room, so you feel a little far away for those at a table, but those who are on Zoom, I feel really connected with y'all. Just for background for everybody's knowledge, my name is Ashley Lido. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for the Women's Rights and Empowerment Network. And I got connected with this group actually back a long time ago when Janet Alterman, our board chair at the time, was also on the Commission for Women who worked on paid leave policy for city employees together. So glad to be back with y'all. And I don't have a formal presentation speaking piece put together. I was invited to come and collaborate. So I would love to know how you envisioned our collaboration conversation going as I join your meeting.
Excellent. Well, that sounds good. Well, first, we did a proposal. We put together a wonderful many points of our agenda and what we really wanted to help push this year. One of our initiative is definitely easy access to lactation facilities across the city of Charleston. And so when we had initially discussed this as a commission, I would say back in March. We identified a couple of vendors that would be able to facilitate their actual physical pods that came in different sizes and different locations. And the vendor that has the pod in the Charleston International Airport is Mama V and Mama Va, sorry, Mama Va. And on our previous meetings, we had identified and we had actually I had several conversations with their point of sale person for the region. And we, you know, kind of got some figures going on. And then we actually created a general draft proposal that I shared with my fellow commissioners for us to present to city council. And so timing is perfect with your presentation that you had last week. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend because I had a conflict, but I did share it out with my fellow commissioners to definitely attend and to provide some feedback, the opportunity of what they may have with regards to thoughts on collaboration and on how we can fill the gap and how we can work together. So, you know, just asking if there are like top of mind, a couple items out of that presentation and your initiative with lactation across South Carolina that you think that we can help support.
Well, so absolutely in relation to what I need for support on current initiatives, that's an easy laundry list. You're offering to help me? Oh, yes, please. Our organization actually has already previously started addressing lactation access in the state. We were actually the first in the South to pass a pregnancy accommodation law that included lactation. We did that in our first 2 years as WREN. It was a statewide policy that ensured a reasonable accommodation in your workplace. That was not the case before, and we were actually the case study that helped the federal law, Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, pass. We were the blueprint because we were able to do it within our policy scope. So within the entire state of South Carolina, if you are a working person on the job, you can ask for a reasonable accommodation in relation to needing to express breast milk. So that could be like, can I use the refrigerator and have a dedicated space for pumping and things like that. Then we layered that policy in the next legislative cycle with a right to express breast milk while on the job. It is not a paid time, so employers do not have to pay you for that time, but they are now required to provide you with the time to pump in a safe, clean space. And that is not a restroom. So I really need y'all to always emphasize that, even as you're talking about the pods and pitching the pods. The easiest pitch that I ever did was to give the example of you don't want to eat your lunch sandwich in the bathroom, and breast milk is food for babies. So when y'all are pitching your pods across the city and need funding to pay for them, potentially really that might be your pushback moment. This is me trying to help y'all with messaging if you need it in a case, is that you need the pods across the city because no, the public restrooms are not the appropriate location for somebody to express their breast milk. But if you are a worker across the state, you have the right to a reasonable accommodation. Well, first layer from WREN, then you have the right to actually take the break time under your employment. And then we are working writ large further out after we had gotten paid leave for state employees and for teachers, looking at what happens with lactation just in general, even if you're not in the workforce. Well, being able to initiate breastfeeding and maintain it usually requires help from a lactation consultant because every single pregnancy is different, every single child is different. And so that is what we are currently working on. That's what we presented on our webinar with a lactation consultant with her small business that's actually here in Columbia. And you will be surprised that though people will say, oh, well, lactation was covered in my rider, it's actually a relationship between a physician and the insurance companies that is giving kind of that payment schedule. So individual practitioners, if I was to just Google in the middle of the night when I'm trying to breastfeed my newborn, where is a lactation consultant? And you were to call, you'd get Kristen Leonard's information. She is a certified lactation consultant. I'd call, and my insurance coverage would potentially not cover me getting services from her. It would only cover if, like, my pediatrician's office was connected and had an in-house lactation specialist. So we are trying to expand coverage of people being able to pay for lactation services. We have a bill right now that is in the Senate side. It's Senate Bill 42. And it would cover both lactation services and doula care. It's our maternal health and infant health bill together, because doulas are also not covered in the state of South Carolina. And doulas are those people that help support you throughout your pregnancy, during your birth, and potentially postpartum. So they are potentially also in that same way trained to help with lactation. They don't have the same certification that a lactation consultant would have, but they very much are trained in helping you with signs of understanding whether or not you are engorged, or if you are getting mastitis and you need to go see the physician. They're really a great liaison between the healthcare system and day-to-day experiences of people. Doulas for sure are actually documented in being able to reduce maternal mortality rates. So truly making sure we get the doula coverage also is something, if y'all have maternal mortality or maternal health as one of your tenets that you want to address. For Black women in our state are 4 times more likely to die after they give birth. When they're giving birth and potentially the 12 months postpartum than white women. Doulas, documented research that if a Black woman has a doula throughout her pregnancy, at the birth, and supporting her after, will reduce those mortality rates, because they are identifying all of the components that would contribute to their death, and then helping them navigate the current healthcare system. So wanted to highlight that Senate Bill 42 actually potentially hits 2 tenets for you. And in any of those pieces, support looks like continuing to communicate out, if you have communication channels about lactation, like why you guys did it. That basic information about how folks still are having barriers and why the commission actually made it a strong tenet of what you want to do is helpful to me. I was able to do similar letters to our state lawmakers from the commission with the paid parental leave policy, because Janet drafted, it wasn't even lobbying because it wasn't specific to the legislation. It was, we have come up with this for the city and are asking that this also be a commitment of our delegation. You don't list a bill number, but then it is in synergy with me, right? So that you're not lobbying on that, but the emphasis on the need for our communities, and especially for y'all in Charleston, is in front of them. And then I so appreciate you sharing our content so more people even know what rights they have, right? So when we're giving our baseline information about what we did in the state, people may not know that they have that right to break time. So as you're even doing your presentations of the pods, or even putting things in the pods, if somebody's sitting there, if you put know your rights informations, I'm going to go ahead and say the city approves that you guys get these gorgeous pods across Charleston and you lead the way.
I think so. I think so.
I think you do. So the other piece that could be the next step of advocacy is, if somebody's in there, did you know that you have the right to get a reasonable accommodation in break time? So y'all potentially partner with an HR company or somebody who could write that nice, simple language, like it's just like a little sticker that could go inside the pod. You might be able to increase awareness for everybody who works in Charleston as they're out just trying to live too. And the chain effect of being able to support breastfeeding people could be really incredible. So those are just really the spitballing off the top of my head kind of ideas of the way that I see y'all could move this forward, and that if you were willing to even write a commission letter on your support of lactation, like supporting lactation in community, if you let me, you can write it whichever language, but it's really the commission's support, and I could have it. And with permission, I would use it with legislators to lobby. And it would be me lobbying for my specific issue, but it would be the commission having a deep commitment to the issue area. And it would be very beneficial to the larger movement.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
A couple questions. First of all, do we even have La Leche leagues here in South Carolina anywhere? Is there a list of those organizations? And have you checked with the hospitals? Because some hospitals are more pro breastfeeding than others.
In relation to you asking me if I have checked with the hospitals, is that in relation to getting the insurance coverage that I'm looking to get with a policy
No,
change?
just promoting the concept of breastfeeding your baby as long as possible. I
So
mean,
that is work that so the leadership in that work is done by our amazing coalition we have in the state. That's the South Carolina Breastfeeding Coalition, and I
Okay.
give them tech. And in my role as at RIN in advocacy, being an advocacy expert, I come on 3 times a year usually and just give them kind of this same brainstorming advice, and they lead the way for educative pieces. They do have a website, and so that's why when you asked about the La Leche leagues, that's who would have those pieces. And I could connect y'all to the leadership at the
yeah,
Breastfeeding Coalition.
I would like to be connected with the leadership because I have found that there's not much information for people. And I'm a
Okay.
big proponent and I worked and breastfed the whole time. And, but I find that young women aren't getting the kind of coaching that I received when I was young and having babies.
Cool. Can I ask whoever the organizer of the commission, if you can put down in your notes to help connect, give me the instructions of whether or not I'm just reaching out with Denise copied. It's Denise, right?
Denise, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Because I don't have there's not a chat function in this Zoom. So I just wanted to call that out, that I'm gonna need that additional support to keep my promise to getting Denise connected or the full commission connected, because I'd be happy to just do a full introduction so that it's not gatekeeping in any one direction.
And I just wanted to
they're
tell
doing
everybody,
great.
those numbers that you gave on maternal deaths, that's not just in South Carolina. That's I mean, globally, we rank at the top in terms of, it's terrible how poor we do with maternal deaths in the world. I mean, it's shocking, I think. So thank you.
I would hope that it would shock others, and we've got to shock them into action next.
Yeah, I hope, I pray.
Good stuff. Yes, absolutely, Ashley. You can send it to me and I'll be happy to disperse it.
Denise, did you have other questions that you wanted to ask? I don't want to cut you
Well,
off.
I just want to let you know, East Cooper Medical is building a women's clinic, a women's hospital, actually. So I want to make sure somebody gets down there and meets with them. They just broke ground, so it'll be a couple of years, but I just think we need to do a better job on maternal births, safe maternal births.
Great. All right. Any additional questions, concerns?
As I understand it, you're an advocacy group. You actually don't deal with patients. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We are only an advocacy organization. Our mission is to advocate, educate, research, and convene communities in service to women and girls in the state. So I'm a registered lobbyist, and I have a team around me that supports me in my lobbying efforts and supports me in going out to communities with very simple educative pieces. We do civic engagement, so how the legislative process works, different advocacy tactics you can do to raise awareness on issues. We do advocacy 101s, and then specifically on the different areas that we work in, economic justice and reproductive freedom, educating folks on what the numbers look like in coupling with storytelling, because numbers are only half of what you need. You need to understand the nuance of real people's lives. So an example is one of our big tenets that we work on is childcare. We're working to try to get to universal childcare. So we are collecting stories from childcare providers, individual parents, and the business community, and working in lockstep to try to find solutions together. Last week, we were invited to sit with the state chamber and the U.S. chamber related to that issue, alongside other nonprofits and childcare providers. So just a little glimpse of kind of what lane we take. I'm trying to support those who are direct service providers, bridge that gap. They need to go take care of the people, and then I need to bring their work in front of decision makers and advocate for better change.
Can I talk to you about childcare just for a second? There is I was working on a affordable housing project, and a lot of our affordable housing projects is geared towards women with children. In doing the research that we were working on, there's a huge need for 24/7 childcare. And then there is a woman in Detroit, I believe her name is Bernice, and she has been running a 24/7 childcare facility for 20 years. So she's been on national news and she's worth talking to. The other
Wonderful.
thing that we found out, because we have a lot of third shifts down here in Charleston. So people that are working in the factories, even we still do actually have factories. So if they're working the second or third shifts, I had met a number of women that literally were leaving their children home alone, 3 and 5-year-olds, because they had to go fill their shift. So we have to help them there. And the other thing we found is that you need a healthy childcare is no problem. 7 day a week, but you also need sick child care. If the child's running a fever and grandma's not available to take the baby, that mom's missing work. And in some jobs, if you miss a scheduled shift, you lose your job. You're not on the schedule the next week. And then that starts the whole issue of eviction and all that stuff, because now you've missed a paycheck. So I'm happy to help that group, because it's a particular interest to me, because that's why women are struggling so much. You can't count on dad, and you can't count. A lot of people don't live near their grandmother or their mother. So, but those were the 3 things that we tried to focus on. And then we did study what Bernice had been doing, and she's got all kind of data.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And I'll connect with you on related to that. And we'll say that it's personal for me. My sister's a nurse and her husband's a firefighter. And luckily I live right around the corner, but my husband's our primary caregiver for our daughter who's 6. She just started kindergarten. So we just got out of preschool. My little sister has a almost 2-year-old. And for the first year of his life, he did not have childcare lined up because of their shift schedule, right?
Yes.
So nothing opened early enough, any of that. So we as a family actually had to come together and do that. And as a young millennial woman, we not only had to do that down, right? We're caregiving up at the same. So yeah, this is a truly passionate work, and I definitely need your help in it, because everybody's saying that it's tough, but they're also saying that there's no money to fix it. So I will call that out as we're all discussing budgets.
Yeah.
And as you're doing your work in your space trying to get the pods, beware of the way that budgeting is coming down and where folks are been cut from the federal level and what supports we've had previously that we've been able to count on.
One more thing to add to that, I ran into a number of women that had children with some form of mild disability.
Yeah.
And they will tell you that they are poor now because they cannot work. So, they can't work at all, or they can only work a few hours, or depending on the disability. Just understand 25% of the population is disabled in some way. It's not a small number, it's a big number. I rest my case.
Your case is heard. Absolutely great stuff. All right, anyone else?
Quick question about whether or not the legislature or whomever has contacted the larger business HRs, and whether HRs, if we know that they send a blast out that would provide information related to this new law that was passed.
They did when the law was previously passed. So the state SHRM, I was trying to get the
Yes.
Yeah, you may be
HR.
familiar. I was trying to get the acronym, but I do have one of those
SHRM.
Yeah, I was trying to say it out loud, but my mom brain at this time of day isn't going to happen. But yes, when it was initially passed, it sent out SHRM to all of the managerial. It's how information is then getting trickled all the way down to the average person, right? So I am a what you'd consider like a business professional woman. So I'm signed up for SHRM pieces just to keep up with HR in the state. And so I was like, oh, this is great. All of our laws and are there. And then I could look over at my sister who works for Lexington Medical Center, and they did not send out a unified bulletin, right? And we didn't require that every business then trigger any of those pieces, because then it would be a mandate to business. So that's why I also kind of try to couple the public-private partnership that could be there of that sticker that y'all are doing. Because some employers may be excited about it and share it out, and then others are not required to do it. So their HR manager got it and went, add it to my list of try not to get sued.
Yeah.
Communication's key. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Wow, really great conversation. Thank you so much, Ashley. Anybody else with additional questions, concerns, comments? Okay, well, I really, anybody? I thought I saw something.
I just want to make a comment that the presentation was just outstanding, and I've just learned much listening to it. I'm a great grandmother with a 3-year-old great grand, and I'm filling in wherever I can. So I'm looking forward to receiving some additional information. And I think the notification to the public really needs to get out there.
I like that point. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. You know, I will keep you in the loop with everything that's going on, and we'll follow up with regards to Denise's email, and look forward to getting your email with how we can share out that information, and then a follow up with regards to how much more we can collaborate hand in hand with the childcare, of course, Mama Va's pod, and you know, how we can definitely collaborate and support each other, because they're very much in sync with our initiatives. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay on. Our next guest speaker that we have this afternoon is Miss Leah Watley. Thank you so much for coming. And Ms. Watley is part of the Charleston County School Board, and she is here to give us a little bit of a brief on what's happening with the budget and all those great things that are coming down for Charleston County School District.
Is the audio enough, or do I need to turn it on myself?
Yeah, audio should be fine, just speaking clearly. Just picks
You
it up.
guys can hear her, right? Okay, we're all set.
Okay, I am gonna share my screen here.
Is it?
Yeah, is that it? Oh, yeah. You can see it?
Mhm.
This is my first time doing a PowerPoint presentation, especially via Zoom. Hook me up, sister.
All right, let's put you on.
Are you wanting to expand my screen?
I'm wanting to get you on display mode. And why can't I see it here? Hold on.
Double click.
Double click on that.
Oh, maybe not.
I'm thinking, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb?
I'm coming, I just can't.
Look to the
see
bottom?
from,
Oh.
That
click
way,
this,
yeah.
There you go.
That's it. Click
No,
that.
I don't wanna play it though.
Oh,
Okay, it's just telling me I'm muted. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Nope, see, it's playing. Hang on.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
No, we've got it here.
I just can't see.
You know what, it's.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there we go.
okay, I'll just start.
All right. Oh, I see it. I can't, right there, that one right there.
Yeah.
Let me say it to the bottom. You did. You did. Screen you did.
Right there, this one, one more, there you go.
Oh,
Ah, we got
that
there.
right there.
Okay,
There
should
you
be
go.
short, okay, there we go.
Hey, I definitely feel that for the first round. Wow, sorry, that was a lot.
No, it's okay.
Oh, perfect.
It happened.
I just want to start off by thanking everybody for giving me the opportunity to be here, for sharing your time and your meeting with me. I will begin by talking about, after my election in November of 2022, I began my tenure as the chairman for the Committee of the Whole, which is the committee of the whole, all of the board members. And my duties were basically to chair the flow of the meeting and to run the meeting according to Robert's rules, make sure that everybody had a chance to be heard and that chaos didn't ensue, because I'm sure a lot of you heard a lot about it in the news and the media, that first 18 months was fairly contentious. So, but you know, some fights are worth having, and what I plan to show you today is the fruit of all of that. Let's see, one thing I learned from that whole first 18 months is to do the interviews. Know why, if you're going to be a principled leader, know why you're taking the stand that you're taking and be prepared to defend that stand. It deepens your character when you go through a firing. Let's see. Now, one question I do have before we go on is, how do I advance the slides? Okay. All right. One of the duties that we had coming into that was we came into a district that was not doing very well. The budget was not where it needed to be. We were looking at the only way to get the budget where it needed to be was to max out the millage increase every year. And the state sets that at like 14 mils. And that's not something that I ran on. I ran on the opposite of low taxes and proper use of public funds and things like that. So we came into the district, we had an interim superintendent, morale was very low. A lot of dysfunction going on, a lot of arguing, just, you know, a lot of chaos. And so one of the first things that we had to do was a superintendent search. And I was, if you go back and review the media, when the superintendent search became discorded, I was the board member that stood up after trying to reason with my other board members to listen to the community. When candidates started dropping out after someone on the board leaked sensitive information, I was the candidate, I was the trustee that stood up and did a press conference with some of the community activists that we needed to pause the process and start over. And I unfortunately could not get the other board members to listen. Again, it's another fire that I had to stand in, another refining of my character, learning how to stand alone, but learning how to stand alone because you know you're right. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them to back up even after pointing out FOIA violations and the way they were conducting executive session and coming out of executive session with something that wasn't on the agenda. And unfortunately, I think we all know as a result, we put the community through a lot of heartache and heartbreak, and we ended up costing the taxpayers close to $500,000 as a result of hiring somebody who uprooted his home and his mother had moved here and was only serving for 3 months. What a lot of people don't know is I was doing a lot of work behind the scenes, speaking with stakeholders and district staff and other people throughout the district that worked in the district, but also a lot of people in the community about what their thoughts were on the hiring of superintendent. And consistently over and over again, Anita Huggins' name kept coming up. And we were elected in November of 2022. That January of 2023, I actually had the votes to go ahead and extend Anita Huggins a contract, but other board members weren't familiar with her, and so that fell through and we ended up going through what we went through. So fast forward several months, And we ended up in February of, I think it was 2023, going ahead and extending Anita Huggins the contract to become superintendent. And I want to show you what has happened with her. When we took office, she had just been appointed as deputy superintendent. And so I'm going to show you some data that is going to show you the work that we've done with her leadership. And some of the data that I'm going to show you has not been released yet to the public. It's under embargo with the South Carolina Department of Education. But I went ahead and reached out to the superintendent and told her what I was working on and what I wanted to do. And much to my surprise, she sent me the projections. So this is what in the next couple of weeks you're going to begin to hear about in the media. Let's see. My second year in office, I served as the vice chairman and policy liaison. I'm going to just briefly touch on a little bit of the work that I did in that role. As I entered into that position, let me back up a little bit. Just prior to my election, I had just accepted working with the human trafficking task force that Alan Wilson had established, and because of my background in law enforcement. And around that same time, you had a member who had just been elected to the House of Representatives whose son committed suicide because he was targeted by a scam on the internet, where they somehow or another obtained compromising photos of him. He was a minor, and it decided to extort him, and he ended up killing himself over it. And that is where we got Gavin's Law from. And so as policy liaison, what I did, knowing that that very important piece of legislation was coming forward, and with that legislation, as a school district, we were required to craft policy that would mirror in the hopes of saving some young lives. And as policy liaison, what I did is I reached out to, I know I'm going to say her last name wrong, Dr. Melissa Malanik, and asked her for her professional opinion. And she said that she didn't actually handle that work, but what she did is she put me in touch with a representative from D. Norton and a representative for the children's advocate from MUSC. And I gathered those two ladies along with district staff, and we went to work in crafting the policy to mirror Gavin's Law. And one thing that horrified me that I learned through that process was children are doing that to one another. They get into relationships, they take different pictures of themselves and share it, and then they break up, and then they end up extorting one another. It's definitely something that needs, I don't really know what the right path forward is outside of, with a lot of this stuff, we need parental involvement, be it student outcomes or, you know, something like that. Let's see. This year, I extended my work. I was appointed as the audit finance chairman. And I am going to show you some of that. I actually had more intention of speaking to you more into the budget, and because so many things have happened this year that are historic in a really good way. We passed a historic budget. We have just, not only were we nominated for a national award with our budget, but we won. Which we all expected was going to happen. We finished the budget historically early. When we hired Anita Huggins as our superintendent, she immediately went to work on putting together a team that would excel student outcomes and student achievement. And part of that is getting the right CFO to get the fiscal house in order. And she hired Daniel Prentice as a result of that. And I just can't say, he's not human, I don't think. There's something about him like that is just so completely alien to anything. You're like, is this guy for real? Because he's so good at what he does. And a lot of this is through his leadership with our getting the budget passed in May. That is just unprecedented. We also, another thing that we did the first year, we, from the dais, this was a little bit of a mistake. From the dais, we voted unanimously as a board to give our teachers a bonus. I think it was $5,000. And then after the fact, the district was like, this is gonna cause shortages over here. But again, I go back to the fiscal house really was not in order the way that it should be. And so also leading into this year's budget, we recognized the ESSER was sunsetting. Actually, last year, I'm gonna back up a little bit, right after we hired Anita, we realized that, you know, ESSER is gonna be sunsetting and we need to get ahead of that curve. And Anita and Daniel, they put together a program where all of the different programs that ESSER was funding, we don't know what we're gonna do and how to continue funding them. So they put them all under heavy scrutiny. And each one had to measure a certain score. Anything lower than 70% was gone. It didn't make the cut. And so that's how we prioritize the spending on the different funding or projects that for the COVID learning loss. And I will say though, one thing that we did after our election is we really prioritized student outcomes with the funding of ESSER. We really targeted literacy, and then we directed the district to then prioritize math as well. One thing, and that's in this embargoed data that I don't have in the slides, but you're going to also see where even history has come up, which was really a pleasant surprise because history is the worst subject in the district. And so where do I want to go with that?
What is ESSER? Can you define what that is?
ESSER, that was the federal funding that was passed in the different stimulus bills from the federal government for COVID, for the learning loss and to the different supports. So, all right, and that's going to catch me to this first slide that I have you looking at right here. So something that Harvard, Stanford, and Dartmouth did is they did a nationwide survey and they examined, I think according to Greater City Schools, it was over 14,000 school districts. But I think with these slides, I don't know if they figured those numbers into, so I'm gonna say these slides are roughly just shy of 9,000 districts. But you will see right here that according to that study, CCSD is number one.
Yay.
We are leading the nation. And what this is recovery from COVID learning loss. So we really prioritized investing that money into literacy. And I want to say prior to our directing the district, the district itself wasn't prioritizing math. And so that's why we shifted the directive, you know, along with literacy, we also need to be prioritizing algebra ready. And so let's see.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this data is district wide. So the data does not include the data from individual schools. It is
They
just
will not
district.
put, they're not gonna single out individual schools like that.
Right.
That's something that we could maybe talk about offline, but no, they're even on the dais, they won't single out schools like that, but that data is available, yes.
And the reason I ask that because we look good on the data for the
Mhm.
district. But my concern is if we're not looking at the data from individual schools, then you may
district
still
is,
have
yes.
those failing schools within that
Mhm.
district data.
Right, and that is something that board members, we are all pressing on. The district itself can take you all the way down to the individual student. They're tracking each individual student along with, but when it comes to the public forum, no, they're not gonna, because we've asked for that also. They just will not single out a particular school. But as for me, I can tell you, like in my district, my district has, reduced, I only have one school that's still left on Title I. Let me put it that way. Still no.
Well, hold on, excuse me,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me. Your question was about failing.
Right.
So Title I is
Well,
about
then-
Title I and failing are not interchangeable.
Well, it's sort of, they are, because it comes to the task force.
That's, so. Explain a little.
She may know more about the details.
Yeah.
Well, Title I is federal funding to take in consideration when you are not getting property tax funding. Unfortunately, a lot of failing schools in Charleston County happen to be Title I.
Right.
But I don't think it's fair
Because it's.
to say interchangeably because I only have one title, Title
The
I.
reason,
It's fun.
if I can explain that, the reason why I said it like that is because it is directly connected to student outcomes. So once the student outcomes reach a certain threshold, they lose that Title I funding. They're no longer on that list of eligibility. I don't make those rules. That's just how that shakes down. It's bad and it's good. It's good because the kids are getting elevated. The literacy rate, the math scores and all that's coming up. I don't know why it's tied in that way, but it is. So let's go to the next slide.
So when the data for individual schools, when is that presented? I mean,
They will
this
never
report
present
looks
the individual
good
schools.
on paper, but then we need to look at those individual or receive information on those individual schools.
We agree with you on that, but the district won't do that. I
How do
can't
we
answer
get
that.
the district to do that?
We've tried multiple times to get them to do that because we want to track the individual schools so that we can target it. But I am going to get there because that's one of the initiatives that we've taken with the budget is changing the formula, the funding formula for the weighted student formula. And we've even fine-tuned it this year to go from the number of pupils in poverty to just the individual pupil in poverty. Like prior, there had to be like a ratio. And so this year, we're not doing the ratio, we're doing the direct number of pupils, if that makes sense. Anyway, it causes the school to get more money because it's going to each individual student to give them additional wraparound services and supports.
So just one more, I'm gonna just take it for one more point and then I'll let you finish because we're getting close to 5, but so per pupil in a ratio just obviously means like if there's a specific school and they have 4 out of 10 students or.
We talked initially about 4 to 1 and then they reduced it to 3 to 1, but now it's just every individual pupil in poverty. We're funding it that way now versus the ratio. That's just changed this year.
And what is the poverty point?
Boy, I did not come with that.
Okay.
What can I ask
I
this?
think it's according to supplemental level.
So it's based upon state median
I
income?
believe it is on the state.
Is that?
I would imagine.
Yeah,
I think
state
it's like
median
14,000,
income.
16,000
Okay.
threshold, something like that. So the summary of, and I'm gonna go quickly through this Harvard study because I want to get to the embargoed data because that's what's exciting.
Okay.
So this, as a result of that Harvard study, I think I did it. This is really important because it was out of this that prompted the initiatives that we've taken on. Again, this is just showing. Let me know when you're ready for me to move.
I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. Your
Okay.
little box within the box, So the whole state of South Carolina in math is down,
Mhm.
but CCSD is up.
We're up,
Okay,
and that's because of the way we've been prioritizing the funding.
Okay.
Mhm.
thank you.
We've been pouring that money into student outcomes, literacy, and I can go into some details about some of the things that we've done to increase the literacy. The very first thing that happened was there was a literacy task force that was formed under the leadership of Terry Nichols, because she's an expert in that. And then the next thing that was done, I'm losing my train of thought. The next thing that was done is we implemented the letters program, which is based in the science of reading that literally teaches teachers how the brain works. This is how the brain learns how to read. All right, can I move on?
Yes.
Okay. So these were the recommendations that Harvard, Stanford, and Dartmouth gave out to us. As a result, we implemented the weighted student formula that would allow principals to allocate, well, we would allocate according to the pupils of poverty, and then it gave the principals more autonomy on how to use their resources. Although we did establish perimeters around that, of what they could use it for and what they couldn't use it for, as a safeguard to keep from waste and to make sure that the money was actually used toward increasing student outcomes. And then on the second portion, we implemented the locals program, where we're going out into the business community, and we are recruiting businesses to partner with CCSD, and however they want to partner, if they want to adopt a school or something like that. And then also we are going and I lose my train of thought. We are what was the other initiative that we're doing?
You give some families a gift card if they come to.
Yes, that is one. But one of the, under this community partnership, we are also now establishing an educational foundation, which is a 501c3. It'll have its own board. It will be under the district's guidance and under the board's oversight, but it will be its own entity. And its sole purpose is to court and recruit funders, so that we can take that fund and then put that into CCSD. And the intention with that is to then use that to even further the initiatives to increase student outcomes and literacy and math. But we're wanting to look at other subjects too. I think according to the embargoed data, from what I'm understanding, is there's one subject that didn't come up, and I believe it's biology, but the rest of them have. And then another initiative, you know, with Head Start and Early Head Start and Mary Ford, they're really wanting to wrap around to get more parental involvement and to help coach parents and parenting. Okay, let's see.
Or not to rush you along, but we are at 5, but you can,
Yeah, I gotta get over there, but I want to get to this data.
please.
You want me to get to this data?
Yes, I do.
And you all know what we've done with the teachers too, so that not only are we were I told you about the bonus, and then the following year we increased the teachers' pay, and I also advocated for non-certified support staff to also come up to 100% market rate. Now we have them this year in this budget, we took them beyond even 100% market rate. And I think they're now, the non-certified are at 103 or 104% market. So let's see. These are some of the initiatives that we have implemented. Mentoring, high dosage tutoring, and those high dosage tutors are going specifically into those schools that are struggling the most with student outcomes. As well as you see the Clemson University partnership, the co-teaching, we've gotten, I think, 20 additional co-teachers in classrooms through that partnership. But this right here, another thing that we did is we implemented a call center for the finance department for any sort of issues that might come up. And as you can see, calls will come in and then the issues get resolved and then they come in. And so that's what the up and down is indicating since its inception in May. And I think we've had 400 calls. So the decrease in the achievement gap. So we're gonna start you here with 2021. And this is how the achievement, this is how we've been closing the achievement gap on my tenure. And so up here in the upper right, you're gonna see, these are the projections right here. So we're projected on closing the achievement gap to go from where we were last year at 83.7 to 84.4. I spoke with somebody from the South Carolina Department of Education who said that the numbers that are gonna come out are higher than what our projections are. And so right here, this is the percentage of meets or exceeds South Carolina ready grades 3 through 8. You know, grade 3 is that critical point. When a child is behind at grade 3, it's really difficult to catch them up. And if they don't get caught up by grade 5, it becomes even more difficult, especially once they get into high school. So these numbers at the end here are 2024. That's last year's iReady. And so you'll see here where all students are double digits on an increase. And this is specifically for ELA and math.
And was that with the weighted formula in place? Or
Yes,
right?
and you can
That's the first year.
can see here where that weighted student formula really started to make an impact in 2023. And also another thing I want to point out, you see the line right here from the pandemic. One thing that study found out is not only did CCSD catch our kids up, but we sustained it, whereas the other districts throughout the nation regressed. And I believe the reason why we sustained it is because of the initiatives and the focus that we had on funding the literacy. The LETTERS program has really, and professional learning communities, those two initiatives really have made a huge difference. And so here's the meets and exceeds South Carolina Ready 3 through 8, again for the ELA and math, and the increases with the weighted student formula. So the weighted student formula, along with pupils of poverty, there's criteria. We've also changed the criteria for that. One thing I am kind of interested in, though, I've noticed throughout this data this past year, there's been a drop in the multilingual learners, which is the light blue. I'm not entirely sure at this point what's going on with that. Maybe some of the immigration, because even their numbers this year are down. Their enrollment numbers are down.
You're surprised by that?
Not really, but I'm just looking at it.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm a parent and I work sometimes in the school. But if I'm not mistaken, when we give the test, we only give the test in English. So the barrier of language
The language
barrier has to be taken into effect. We don't give, even though we have programs like English as a second language, when it's test day, we only test in English.
Okay, I'll bring
So
that-
please look into that, cause
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll
my
bring
school,
that up.
I don't, just where my child is, I don't want that to be for.
Yeah, no, I'll bring that up. I know that we, just this past year, we expanded the Welcome Center at Stall High School, and we implemented also over here in West Ashley, which is where I represent. Because West Ashley is like your fastest growing and most transient area of the district.
I did not realize that. I'm West Ashley.
Oh, are you West Ashley? Well, be sure to let me know how I can help you.
I'm very, but one thing I was gonna, one thing when you was going back to Hispanic, I mean, that was just on the news Monday. And this is critical time because the first 10 days of attendance is how we get our budget and stuff. That is on the news, how bad Hispanic attendance is, like this district is concerned.
It has dropped considerably. I wanna say, unless I'm wrong, I wanna say we've lost probably 4,000
I think
students.
it was, I think you're.
I don't know if they're like gone, or if they're just afraid to show up.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah. But even though the superintendent has, and that's something that I've been on top of, ICE is not coming in the schools.
Good
They're
luck with
not
that.
coming in the schools.
Good luck with that.
So, well, no, they're not coming in the schools. And I will say one good thing about Anita Huggins is she has a very tight relationship with the sheriff, who is in agreement with her that's not going to happen. Cause when the presidential election happened, that it went through the district like a shockwave. That rumor went out that ICE was gonna come into schools and take kids. No, that's not going to happen.
They're not doing it in our schools.
CCSD, I don't have any authority anywhere else.
That's what I'm saying, not in our schools. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then you're gonna see here algebra readiness, and this is very important. And you see the increase from 2022. And we are expecting with this embargo data, an increase of almost 8%.
And I know you can't answer this, but I need somebody to answer. My son is in 10th grade at West Ashley, and
Okay.
he's in honors geometry, but
Uh-huh.
his class now is geometry/statistics.
Yeah, that did get changed.
Who did that? What?
That's
That's-
an interesting topic of conversation in the
Yeah.
board meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm coming to go with it.
It's tonight.
That's, oh my God, let's go. We need to go, girl, because I need somebody to tell me who did this.
Yeah, we still don't have the answers as to what that goes different, yes.
They don't.
So they think it's gonna be better.
Different thought
I
process.
thought
So here we go with the South Carolina mathematics grades 3 through 8. And the great news that you guys get first sight of is that from last year, we were scoring at 75.5. This year, we're expecting 80.6. And I'm hoping that the Department of Education is right, that those numbers are gonna be even higher. And then here we go. This is, again, a look at mathematics. So district goals that were established in 2022 for the district. You can see where we were in literacy in 2021 and where we have, we've gone in 2021 from here to 86%. Algebra readiness, we're up 53.2%. And then in 2023, or since 2023, in just 1 year, this is the impact of the weighted student formula.
And you do have to pass algebra in South Carolina to get a high school diploma. Was that a rumor?
Well, you have to have algebra to get into academic magnet. So that's why they were focused.
I don't think you have to pass algebra to get a diploma now. I don't
Okay,
think
but you had to
that's
have it to get there.
So among other things, I think it's a good precursor to other.
Mhm.
So when students weren't having the opportunity for that in their middle school,
School, that
they didn't, their opportunity
to
take
academic
advantage
magnet
of-
with that.
Yes,
I got you.
that's several years back.
But no, I mean.
So college and career readiness,
Mhm.
from 2022 to 2024, we've increased over 10%.
Did you go back a slide for a second? I just saw that, I'm looking at the bottom.
Bottom where it said, that last goal 3,
Yeah.
yeah, that, I'm confused. I know we gotta go for time, but we decrease, like,
The decrease in the gap is the achievement gap.
okay.
Black and white.
Cause it's,
That is kind of worded strange,
Yeah, it's
actually.
just-
I might point that out.
because the increase is lower, it's still lower.
This will probably, if you guys are interested, this is more than likely gonna be presented at the committee of the whole, in September.
Okay.
So we get first dibs.
You get first dibs.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
you guys are literally seeing this before everybody else.
Excellent.
I was surprised the superintendent said this. I was like, did you need to send that? She's like, I don't care if you, I don't mind if you share it.
You caught her on a
Good
good.
news, I mean, good news, we like, we like brushing
I
up.
like the inside scoop.
Yeah.
I would say a question that I would have going forward, long term is, gains are great, and I know they've been well fought for, and you all have done a lot of vetting of what you're doing now with the weighted formula, also doing the same curriculum across the board. I
Yes,
remember a lot of
The
that.
changing curriculum is
Yeah.
definitely,
It would be interesting to see like a long-term projection because things take time and people don't always give them time. You know what I mean? For that to have a better trend, because it's great to decrease the gap, but having only 21 to 24% of our Black and African American students, I mean, obviously we would all want that to increase a lot faster.
Wait a minute, I think you might be misunderstanding that. What do you mean by?
Well, I thought it said that, I thought it was showing the trend line with, white students achieving.
Yep, go back.
Go back again. When you have the slide that you have, blue is all the students, then you have gold is the white students and stuff.
I see, so this one's
Yeah.
mathematics.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, but I get that those things take time.
They do.
It would
Yeah.
affect one.
Yeah,
year
because we
to
just
that,
directed
but-
the district last year, we need to focus on math also.
Yeah, but that would just be interesting to me, because I know other communities have used the weighted student formula, so when does that projection start to ramp up, if that makes
So
sense?
that was when the superintendent asked us about implementing that last year, that was a question, and she said, give me at least 3 years.
Yeah.
So the good news too with this is the curriculum that we implemented, there's no reason for it to not remain like permanently. When we were looking at the different curriculums, I actually advocated for that one because it was being utilized in the New York City school system, and it was proven to have positive student outcomes for Black and brown students. And so that's what we ended up going with, was the Amplified CKLA in all of our elementary schools, that foundational years. Okay. Okay, I am gonna wrap this up because my board meeting starts in 3 minutes. But I was gonna be late. So here we go with the I-ready reading projections for grade 5. And so we see, remember I mentioned that we have to get them on grade level by 5, because once they transition over to middle school, the statistics just it's nearly impossible for them to recover after grade 5.
16 points is awesome.
Yeah. Yep, starting from 2022 to now. Yeah. We have a lot to celebrate. We're not there yet, but we are trending upward.
Yeah.
At a very fast pace.
Yeah.
And especially for that June 2027. Our goal for June 2027 is that not on here?
Yes, on there.
Yes.
By June 2027, all students will be reading on grade level
Yes.
by 5th grade.
So we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. Going in the right direction, that's for sure. And that's all the slides that I brought for you guys.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Please come to that September committee of the whole meeting where the district and the experts in education. I'm a business person, okay, with a background in policy and law and stuff like that. So please come to that committee of the whole meeting where you can hear from the experts, and then you can hear them, and then you'll hear us drill them with all the questions. And please send me an email with the questions that you have, and I will definitely make sure that it's asked and addressed.
I was just about to say, I need her.
We have got
You got
it.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I'll get it from.
But for like district questions, she's got my personal cell phone, which I don't mind you having.
I just emailed.
But
So we gotta
for
let you regret
district
that.
business, email me at the district. That way I can very quickly forward it to the right person for you.
If I didn't have to get home, I'd want somebody to explain to me why they changed geometry. I just don't, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that was a little strange. And they gave us some sort of explanation. I can't really, it still didn't make sense to me. So that's not something I'm really able to articulate for you, nor am I willing to, because I think it's weird.
I only have one job, but I think what's also about to happen, how we, Stone Age and everything, we took algebra, geometry, and algebra 2.
Right.
There's now talk that they want the kids to now take algebra 1, algebra 2. It's like they're changing.
All of those math standards are.
All the math standards are changing.
Yeah.
And I don't get that either.
Okay, and I am sorry that we have to accelerate the closing of the meeting.
Yes.
We can probably take 2 questions because there is a pending required meeting that has to open up for the community right after us. But 2 questions.
I'll let Dr. ask.
Please.
I just have one question. When you looked at the information on how we see things getting better, do you feel that some of the federal funding changes, like the ending of, or the minimizing of Head Start, do you think that's going to affect our numbers and the progress we're hoping to make for those children before they get to that 5th grade level?
I just had a sit down with Ms. Foxworth a couple of weeks ago. That's not something that she brought up. We do have a waiting list for Head Start and historically have. I am also a big proponent of the pre-K program with the early Head Start and Head Start. But again, parental involvement, which is something that I very much like with Head Start. I'm not the liaison for Head Start. I would steer you toward Carlotta Bailey, because that's her passion, that's her background. She's worked in kindergarten for 16 years. She's the one that, her or Ms. Foxworth are the ones that could go a little bit more in depth. The work that I've done on the board has been more chairing and policy and then audit finance. So that's what I know a lot more about, the things that I have to do the deep dive on.
Thank you for bringing this to us too.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I was thrilled when I opened up that email from the superintendent and she had sent that. I quickly shifted what I was gonna talk about, so.
You're like, and safe.
And I just got it this morning. Otherwise, I would have asked various questions to be able to bring that, but she sent me that this morning. And I was shocked. I'm like, are you sure you meant to send this? And I was like, isn't this the embargo data? It's just like, so this is just me being flexible and fluid on the dime. You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
One
you. I
last
have a question.
last question. Sorry, Don.
Oh,
Are
yes,
you
sir.
willing to comment on the 2 editorials previous 2 Sundays ago and the one this Sunday about the superintendent?
Oy.
You know what I'm
Off the
talking about.
record, I would talk to you about it off the record. Yeah,
But you know, you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about. Well, you're talking about the controversial ones, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'd be willing to talk to you about it off the record.
Fine. That's fine.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead. Any other question? One more question for the group. Anything else? Ladies online? All good? Okay, I really appreciate everyone hanging out till 5:20. I'll go ahead and propose a closing, adjourning this meeting until the next one.
Second,
Motion?
I make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
Why?
Aye, it is. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the information.
Thank
We're
you.
waiting to come.